I am Melissa Hanson, and I'm the administrator here at Shoemaker Loop and Kendrick in the Tampa office. And it's been our practice historically to do a taped interview with the department administrator when a key individual departs the firm in order to determine any trends or issues that could impact us. This recording today is with Daryl Smith here to my left. He is the corporate department co-chair, and this is regarding E.J. Richardson, who recently retired from the firm. How are you, Mr. Smith?
Fine. Monique, is it?
Mel,
Oh,
M-E-L.
hi, Mel.
Hanson with an E.
Hi.
So I'm going to begin to ask you some questions about EJ so we can kind of get a little insight into him and the history of the two of you together. So I'm going to start with question number one. Let's start from the beginning. I understand that you and Mr. Richardson had a big book of business when you guys moved to Shoemaker in 1991. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Of course, Mary, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to take some notes before that you gave me these questions in advance. So in connection with that, looking back, actually we had zero business when we arrived at Shoemaker. I think there were a couple of fellows, maybe a Bruce Garden and
Like
John
that.
Eilis that talked with us, but we bamboozled them. We basically took the yellow pages and we took 15 businesses out of there. We didn't have any idea who the hell they were, but we wrote them down. They bought it hook, line, and sinker. We began, and the rest is history. Thankfully, Checkers worked out and saved our asses. Otherwise, we would have been back where we were before.
And I thank you for that because I was able to start collecting a paycheck again once we bamboozled Shoemaker. So thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, so I understand that one of the clients that you guys brought to Shoemaker with you was the esteemed Mr. S.K. Ma. He owned the Taiwan company Progressive Toys. I think that was the name of it. He was in Taiwan, right? And the company was called Progressive Toys. Can you give me some background on that client?
Unfortunately, I cannot discuss Mr. Ma or Progressive Toys.
That's too bad.
The Chok-chi Cho, which means client privilege in Taiwanese, which means basically I've got to keep it between me and the client. So we really can't discuss that today.
Okay, well, we'll just skip right over that question and move on then. Hold on. Okay, go. So it must have been a real boost to Shoemaker for you and Mr. Richardson to come in armed with incredible amounts of knowledge and experience. And you headed up the firm's first IPO, ADR program, and Underwriters Council representation in firm history. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it sounds impressive, but basically we didn't know anything when we first started. We kind of bullshitted everybody, including the SEC. Truth be known, we didn't have a clue. Thankfully,
still don't?
Thankfully, back in those days, there was no emails, no faxes, no instantaneous requests for information. So we could sit around throwing darts at a dartboard for days on end, coming up with answers for these people whenever they'd ask us a question. We didn't get back to people instantaneously. We had days to do it.
Really think about it. Really think about it. Okay, well, that's interesting. Okay, so this is an important question. With all the heavy lifting on these huge projects that you've talked about, you guys would be exhausted. I mean, we would spend hours upon hours here. Sometimes we were here all night long. I personally remember sleeping on your couch in your office because couldn't go home. You guys
I remember that too, Millie.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. I understand you guys would occasionally blow off steam by going on these all sports weekends to get some relaxation. Is there anything that you can tell me about that?
They were essential. They were essential to our success. Let me say that, and they were strictly business.
Okay, moving on. You guys had to maintain a certain edge all the time. You had to be on. You had to be mentally sharp. How did you maintain that level of just intelligence and constantly being on your game, did you do significant exercise? Did you eat the right foods? What did you do?
Well, as you can see, I clearly did.
Clearly.
I've lived a very strict life in terms of what I ate, what I put into my body, and the way I took care of myself on a day-to-day basis, which is very obvious.
Clearly, yes.
Now, Mr. Richardson was a totally different story. I must tell you that man's diet consisted of cheeseburgers, chicken wings, extra crispy, I might add. He always ordered them extra crispy. Cheesesteaks, chocolate cake milkshakes, you name it. I don't think he ever saw or ate a vegetable or a salad in front of me the whole 40 years we were together. Well, wait a second. He did eat celery and carrot sticks with his chicken wings occasionally.
And he never gained an ounce. I
He
think
did
he
not.
literally was the same size from the day I met him in
like this,
1988.
just like his waist was this big.
Yes, just
the whole
tiny,
time.
tiny little man, So I understand for the last 12 or 13 years that both of you participated in something called the Non-Billable Hours Fantasy Football League. So can you describe Mr. Richardson as what type of a fantasy owner he was?
Mr. Richardson is a fantasy owner. It's an interesting question. I would give him a solid C minus, maybe a bronze status in the Yahoo leagues. The man lived in the past. He drafted yesterday's heroes, the stars that were close to retirement, thinking that all of a sudden they were going to rebound and be what they were once before. Kind of disappointed he won't be back next year because you could always chalk up a couple of wins in terms of the games you played against him.
Oh, okay. So he pretty much didn't have the best record in the league. Is that what you're saying?
That's right, sister.
Okay, well, amen, brother. Okay, so looking forward to 2019, I understand that you have 5 large deals to kick off the year with, which is always great. It's good that you have all of that experience and expertise that you've developed over the years. I mean, you were nominated and were selected as one of the best lawyers. I mean,
Well,
right?
That's correct. Truth be known, I don't have a clue, okay? As a A&M lawyer, wait a second, M&A lawyer, EJ used to correct me on that. As an A&M lawyer, I constantly have to be at my cutting edge to get these deals done. But honestly, I don't have a clue how the hell I'm going to get them done without him here. See, because I'm the fun guy, all right? The fun guy. I'm the guy who goes to hockey games, takes the clients to dinners, for drinks. That's what I do. I'm very good at that. He did all the work.
So he was the heavy lifter of the team.
So, EJ, please reconsider. Come back, would you please?
Okay. On that note, here's a great question I've been dying to ask you. So EJ had sort of a reputation, and that reputation over the years he was frugal, or as I like to say, tighter than Dick's hat band. He didn't like to pull out that credit card. What do you know about that?
Well, I can tell you this. Who's retiring first? EJ is retiring first, and I think one of the principal reasons is, as you mentioned, he was quite frugal. But second of all, I'll be damned, he was going to retire first, so I had to pay for his retirement party. If I had retired first, he would have had to pick up the bill for my retirement party.
And
so
that's not happening.
He was thinking ahead, believe me. The man was
For
frugal.
40 years he's been thinking this and planning
that's
it.
correct.
Quite
That's
certain.
correct. Absolutely.
Protecting that nest egg.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, that concludes our interview. I don't have any.
Hopefully we're off the air now, but
that thing off.
But
Make sure that-
hopefully
Make sure that thing's off.
Yes. Sweetheart, would you like to go get a cocktail after
I would
this?
love it.
All right. Let's,
Yeah.
yeah,
Heading
let's
on
do
the-
it. Let's do it.
Over at the Hilton.
Yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
we're heading there. Mm.
EJ, congrats on a fine career. We've accomplished a great deal together, and we managed to have fun throughout the whole process. It's not going to be the same without you, but I wish you the best of luck in terms of your golf, and particularly the time you can spend with your family, which I know you treasure. Thanks again, buddy, and best of luck. Love you, man.
Hey, buddy. I was going to practice what I was going to say, but I would get too emotional. Sorry I can't be with you tonight. It's been just a wonderful experience working together for 27 years. It's hard to remember back when there were about 9 of us here, and we could have Christmas parties at somebody's house. You've been a joy to work with. A lot more than being a great lawyer. You're just a great guy. Never heard you criticize anybody or speak meanly of anybody. And I wish you and Teresa and the kids just absolutely the best of everything. Go out there and prove it all night. I love you, EJ. Take care. See you soon.
Congratulations, EJ, on a great run of nearly 30 years here at Shoemaker. I've always been proud to call you my colleague and my partner, but most important, my friend. I'm going to miss you not being here. I hope you always remember your friends here at Shoemaker. I hope you continue to hit them straight, and I hope you get to chase some dreams. Good luck and all the best to you, my friend.
First of all, EJ, we're going to miss you. Spent a couple decades here together, but I've got to tell, the first time I really met EJ, he came into my office and said, Phil, I've got a bench trial that starts tomorrow. Do you think you could prepare the client for the trial testimony? I said, sure. And then as we got ready, it was like, Phil, would you mind taking the lead in trying this bench trial? And of course, I said yes. He had worked it up, so it wasn't a lot of work on my part, and we won. But that was my first introduction. The other story that I have to say or tell about EJ is that when I was the managing partner of Tampa office, I used to go by EJ's desk, and his entire law practice was on his desk. And I got to the point that I would get so nervous that I would just close my eyes when I walked past his office so I wouldn't see what I perceived to be an absolute disaster. But he knew where everything was. Great knowing you, buddy. All the best, and keep that scratch golfing going.
So I come in every day and I look down the hall and I see your dark office. I know you had your assistant turn on the light so when you arrived, you wouldn't be arriving at a dark office. It's empty now. The nameplate is gone. It's being prepared for the next occupant that will have some big shoes to fill. It is a stark reminder that you are not here anymore. You have moved on to something else that you are passionate about and enjoy, which is a good thing. It makes me sad and at the same time happy for you that you're pursuing your dreams. So many years were spent in that office. It is hard to have it empty. You are a rock of stability and assurance and looked to by all for sound advice and counsel on all things. In that office, there was a lot of thinking, drafting, discussing, contemplating, arguing, worrying, but there was also a lot of laughter. I have always said, if you are not laughing, you are not living. My friend, with you, We did a lot of laughing. Oh, the moments we shared. Who had the larger head size? Yeah, we measured. Why the 600-pound sweaty woman in Nashville got on the bus with only you on it and I on it and chose to sit by me will be a mystery. We had the Escape from New York Ruth's Chris trip. We had the Black Widow discussion and so many more events contemplated in that office. I know you will be laughing with your grandkids as you continue on your journey. But just know this, EJ. You, my friend, enriched my life. You added comfort and joy to it every day. I will be forever grateful and appreciative of my blessing of having had the pleasure to know you and work with you all these years. I will miss you. Stay laughing, my friend.
EJ. Before EJ became the top corporate and securities attorney that he was at the height of his legal career, he did some other things. In the early days of Shoemaker, we all did what we could to stay alive. In my case, I did estate planning for all kinds of people, including some in distressed situations. Often that included a premarital agreement. Well, as we all know, sometimes divorce happens. EJ is a terrific divorce attorney. Not only did he smoke the other attorney, enforce my premarital agreement every time, in his own words, he would say, Bruce, the other side got donut. So EJ, thanks for being a terrific utility player, batting 1,000 with premarital agreements and making me look good. That's it, except one more thing. Keep your head down, like grip, follow through, enjoy your retirement. Thanks, EJ. Bye.
What can I say about EJ? I can share with you that when I started at Shoemaker in 1997, I knew little about practicing law. What I know now, I learned from my partners, including EJ. EJ always approached an issue in a practical and thoughtful manner, and his door was always open, and he was always willing to talk to the young associates coming up through Shoemaker and lend a hand. For that, I'll always be grateful. But he also liked joking about growing up in South Florida, something that he and I share in common. And he loved to end our conversations with a quote, one of his favorite quotes from Scarface. Hey EJ, say hello to my little friend. Take care, brother.
All right, EJ, I wish you all the best. Just wanted to show you something that you're never going to win because of how inept you were at fantasy football. I will miss our heated trade discussions and arguments, but and missing someone who is equally as inept as me in those trades. But wish you all the best, and go Gators.
My favorite E.J. Richardson fantasy football futility story is from 2018, and it deals with the playoffs. As many of you know, 8 teams make the playoffs. But what many of you may not know is that through the playoffs, week 14, 15, and 16, E.J. Richardson scored the highest number of points out of the 8 teams in 2 weeks. But he failed to make the championship because in week 15, he lost 101.8 to 95.4. The 6.4 points margin of defeat was attributable to an inexplicable quarterback selection by E.J. Richardson. It cost him the championship. Let's review. E.J. had 2 quarterbacks on his roster, quarterback 1 and quarterback 2. Quarterback 1 had a home game against the Dolphins and was projected to score 22.89 points per Yahoo, whereas quarterback 2 had an away game against the Colts and was projected to score 22.56 points. If we look at the two defenses that each quarterback was playing over the previous 3 weeks, the Dolphins had surrendered an average of 30.6 points over the 3 weeks, week 12, 13, and 14, that predated week 15. Whereas the Colts had only surrendered 16.98 points for the final 3 weeks. EJ ends up losing in week 15 by 6.4 points. One of these quarterbacks scored 9.15 points more than the other quarterback. So I ask you, which quarterback would you have started? Let's get an independent perspective. Zach, please come and sit down. This is Zach. How old are you, Zach?
7.
Have you ever played fantasy football before?
No.
Do you understand simple math?
Yes.
Okay, let me show you. You have to pick either quarterback 1 or quarterback 2. Quarterback 1 is projected to score 22.89 points, and quarterback 2 is projected to score 22.56 points. Quarterback 1's playing the Dolphins defense, which over the 3 previous weeks had surrendered an average of 30.6 points, whereas quarterback 2 is playing the Colts defense on the road, which is average giving up only 16.98 points. Now, which quarterback, quarterback 1 or quarterback 2, do you think will score the most points?
I would say quarterback 1.
Thank you, Zach. And that's proof positive that a 7-year-old with EJ's lineup could have won the fantasy football championship, but EJ, in his final season, gave it away. We're going to miss you.